Hey everyone, welcome back to the Primetime Podcast with Dunk Center. My name is Frank, and today we're going to be diving into one of the most fascinating basketball stories in Asia, the rise of Japan's B.League. Over the last decade, Japanese basketball has gone through a massive transformation. What was once a fragmented system with multiple leagues and limited exposure has turned into one of the most organized and competitive basketball ecosystems in the region. From the grassroots level to the professional stage, Japan's model shows how structure, investment, and vision can completely reshape a sport. In this episode, we're going to look at how the B.League came to be, the key changes that drove its growth, and what other developing basketball leagues, including those here in the Middle East, can learn from Japan's journey. So let's jump in and explore how Japan turned its basketball scene into a regional powerhouse. Before the B.League came together in 2016, the Japanese basketball scene was a bit of a messy place. For years, the sport was divided between two separate professional leagues, the National Basketball League, or the NBL, and the B.League, the Basketball Japan League. On paper, it might have seemed like a good thing, more teams, more opportunities, and more basketball, but in reality, it created a lot of problems. The NBL was more traditional, with corporate-sponsored teams, and a strong connection to Japan's business world, while the B.League was more independent and entertainment-focused, modeled closer to the NBA's style. These two leagues weren't competing together, they were competing against each other, and that division meant Japan's top basketball talent was spread thin. Instead of one strong, unified competition, the best players were split between two systems, and those systems didn't share the same standards, schedules, or even rules in some cases. It hurt the overall quality of play and made it difficult for fans to really follow or invest in the sport, monetarily or emotionally. Most of the games were played in small venues with modest attendance, crowds were loyal but limited, and the excitement around domestic basketball just wasn't there. Media coverage was minimal. Without a unified professional identity, Japanese basketball struggled to gain recognition, both at home and internationally. And then came the breaking point. In 2014, FIBA actually suspended Japan from international competition. The reason? The country's basketball structure was too divided, and the lack of a single professional governing body went against FIBA's standards. It was a major wake-up call, and that suspension didn't just embarrass Japan, it forced real change. It showed that if Japan wanted to compete on the global stage and truly grow the sport domestically, something drastic had to happen. The two leagues couldn't keep operating separately. The country needed one professional system, one vision, and one identity for basketball. And that's exactly what led to the creation of the B.League, a new beginning for Japanese basketball. So after years of division and FIBA suspension, Japan had to make a move, and fast. The solution was to bring everything under one roof. In 2016, the B.League was officially launched, uniting the NBL and B.League into a single professional system for the first time in Japan's history. The idea behind the merger was simple: create one strong, organized, and modern league that can compete on an international level. That meant putting an end to the confusion, improving the overall quality of play, and building a foundation that could sustain professional basketball for the long run. But the merger wasn't just about combining teams. It was about completely reforming how basketball was managed. A new governing body was established under the Japan Basketball Association, with stricter league governance, clearer financial standards, and a focus on long-term growth. Teams were now required to operate more professionally, from player contracts and youth programs to marketing and fan engagement. One of the biggest shifts came in infrastructure. To join or to stay in the B.League, clubs had to meet specific stadium and facility requirements. That meant investing in better arenas, training centers, and fan experiences. Expansion teams were encouraged to develop modern, community-based venues that could actually attract fans and support the league's image as a truly professional product. On top of that, the B.League pushed hard for better player development and coaching standards. Teams were incentivized to invest in academies and youth systems, not just to bring foreign talent, but to grow Japan's own. The result was a more competitive environment, higher game quality, and a clearer path for young Japanese players to go pro. The formation of the B.League wasn't just a merger, it was a complete reset. It gave Japan's basketball ecosystem structure, accountability, and direction. And in just a few years, the impact became undeniable. Once the B.League was officially launched, things started to change fast. The level of competition rose almost immediately, and so did the quality of talent. With better management, professional standards, and stronger clubs, Japan became an attractive destination for both local and international players. With the successful unification, the money started rolling in. Team and league revenue jumped drastically, and you started seeing experienced imports from the US, Europe, and other parts of Asia, bringing in new skills, energy, and professionalism. By the end of the 2018-19 season, the league revenue climbed to $283 million, an astounding 3x growth from the year prior to the B.League merger in 2016. Contract sizes ballooned with the increase in league growth, and a positive feedback loop of growth and professionalism sped up even faster. That mix of local development and international influence helped raise the overall standard of play. And suddenly, Japanese players were competing at higher levels each week, and it started showing in the national team's performance too. Fan engagement also exploded. The league focused heavily on marketing, social media, and creating a real game day experience. Attendance numbers climbed year after year, and basketball began to gain the kind of excitement in Japan that used to be reserved for baseball and soccer. Cities developed strong team identities, rivalries grew, and for the first time, basketball had a true national presence. Internationally, the B.League started getting real attention, whether it was through streaming deals, high-profile imports, and participation in regional tournaments. The league positioned itself as one of Asia's most professional and exciting basketball products. Teams like the Chiba Jets, Alvark Tokyo, and Ryukyu Golden Kings became known names across the region. Today, the B.League stands as a model for how to build a sustainable, competitive, and commercially successful basketball ecosystem. It's not just about what Japan accomplished on the court. It's about how they built a system that connects players, fans, and communities under one clear vision. And that success has started to inspire other developing basketball markets across Asia to rethink their approach. So, what can developing basketball leagues, like the UAE's, learn from Japan's journey? The biggest lesson is that structure and unity matter. Before the B.League, Japan's basketball scene had talent, passion, and history, but it was fractured. Once they created a single, well-governed league, everything else started to fall in place. For developing leagues, that means having one clear system with a consistent organization, professional standards, and long-term goals that everyone, from clubs to players to fans, can buy into. Another major takeaway is marketing and visibility. Japan didn't just improve the game. They built excitement around it, they told stories, promoted their players, and made fans care about their teams. For leagues in the Middle East, that same energy can come from a stronger marketing, consistent game coverage, and media that celebrates local players and rivalries. Publishing stats, schedules, and highlights in a standardized way goes a long way towards building credibility and fan trust. When it comes to talent development, the UAE already has a strong foundation. The rise of the Dubai Basketball Club and their Falcons Academy shows there's a serious investment in youth and player growth. The next step is connecting the player pipeline with the professional league so that fans can follow a player's journey from the academy to the pros, just like they do in Japan. And finally, it's all about fan engagement. Japan proved that fans don't just follow teams, they follow stories, identities, and communities. Creating that same emotional connection in the UAE means championing local players, highlighting their personalities, and giving fans a reason to be proud of their home teams. The B-League's rise didn't happen overnight, but it shows what can be achieved with vision, consistency, and a focus on storytelling. If developing leagues apply those same principles, they can spark their own basketball revolution, one that is built for their fans, their culture, and their future. One really interesting thing that stands out when you look at the basketball scene in West Asia and East Asia is the player pool is already connected. The same foreign players have competed in Japan's B-Leagues, both Division 1 and Division 2, are many of the same players who we've seen play in the UAE, Dubai Basketball Club, and across leagues in the broader Gulf region. For example, fans of this page have probably heard me talk about Marvell Harris and Daquan Jones, both of whom played in the B-League before coming to the UAE Basketball League. But they are not isolated cases. Players like Stedman Lamont, Byron Mullins, Mitchell Watt, Kyle Hunt, Gani Lawal, Darius Rice, Reggie Okosa, Hervé Lamizana, Randy Holcomb, and Michael Fay are all players who have moved just between Japan and the UAE, with so many more moving between the greater Gulf region and West Asia throughout other parts of East Asia. And this tells us something important. The talent pipeline is already shared. The market for foreign players is global, not just regional. So it's not that the UAE can't attract high-quality foreign talent. It already is, and not just in the EuroLeague and Adriatic Basketball Association. The real difference is what happens around that talent. Japan didn't just become successful by bringing foreign players in. They built a system that could support the league and the basketball ecosystem overall. Professional club culture, strong national marketing and streaming presences, stable club identities and fan bases, true development pathways for local players, consistent league organization and governance all went into helping international players come into the system and elevate it. They added experience, leadership, and competition that directly impacted the Japanese local talent, helping players like Yuki Togashi and raising the bar for Japanese basketball excellence. Now, compare that to the UAE and the wider Gulf region, where the foreign talent is there, the coaching experience is there, the passion is definitely there, but the structure is still developing. So the lesson here is, the UAE doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. The blueprint already exists, and Japan is a perfect case study about it. If the UAE focuses on league stability, marketing, youth development, and long-term identity, the same international players who have succeeded in Japan can help accelerate the UAE's growth. The player pipeline is already global, and now it's about building an environment that turns talent into legacy. Japan's basketball journey is proof that with structure, vision, and community, a league can completely transform itself and inspire others to do the same. For developing leagues like the UAE, the B.League isn't just a success story. It's a roadmap or a blueprint, and it shows how collaboration, investment, and belief in a sport can create real change, both on and off the court. And that wraps up today's episode of the Primetime Podcast with Dunk Center. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the Primetime Podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or on the Dunk Center website at www.dunk.center. I've got more episodes coming up, diving into basketball stories from across the region, from the Middle East to Asia and beyond. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.